Greetings, grandfather. Now today I want to talk to you a little more about your personal safety as an individual. This is something you probably won't be able to practice with others at the early stages, but possibly at the later stages if you are compatible with somebody enough so that you can stay focused and help each other to stay focused. You can try it. This experience of safety is something that doesn't have to do with external conditions. Obviously, you want to do all you can about that in the most benevolent way. But it does have to do with your inner feelings. You might say, in a sense, it's proactive safety, meaning safety that you personally exude. And in order to exude that, it's more than confidence, you see. You need to learn how it feels in your personal body and practice it as a physical feeling. So, first I want to give you the how to do it. Now, I recommend that you either lie down on your bed, which is the best, or, if it's more convenient, you can sit down in a comfortable chair. Try to do this at a time or a place when it's as quiet as possible, because it will require your absolute focus and concentration. So, ringers off on the phones and all of that. Now, this is what you do. Try to remember a time when you felt completely safe. If you cannot remember something like that, then imagine being a baby and being held by your mother or whatever loving being brought you up, and just sort of gravitate to that time just for the feeling. If there's some other experience that's caused you to feel surrounded and protected and totally safe, then go into that memory and feel the feeling. So for the first week or so, doing this practice, I want you to just lay on the bed. Don't cross your arms, don't cross your legs, all right? Just lay flat on your back. If you can't do that, then it's all right to lay on your side, or even your stomach, but I don't really recommend that. And focus into that feeling of safety. The way it feels in your body may not be the way it feels in somebody else's body for them. So just know that. Many of you might get a warmth in your chest or someplace else in your body. That's fine. But whatever it feels like, don't question it. Just go into that physical feeling and see if you can feel it more. Practice that only for the first week or two, so that you can lay down or sit down in that comfortable chair and bring up that feeling fairly quickly and stay with it. So practice that as long as you need to, so you can get that feeling fairly quickly. Next step, and I'm going to go on with this as if you were laying on the bed, all right? Next step after that is to remain laying on the bed, all right, with that feeling, but start moving around a little bit. Move your arms a little bit, move your legs a little bit, not too much, just a little bit, all the while maintaining that feeling. Practice that for as long as you need to, a week or two, however long you need to, so that you can move around a little bit and still have that feeling of safety in your physical body. A physical feeling, you understand. So, next step after that. So you're lying on the bed, and you're able to move around and maintain that feeling in your body of physical safety. Then I want you to move around a little bit more. So move your legs around more, move your arms around more. You can even move your head from side to side or something like that. All the while maintaining that feeling of physical safety. If at any time the feeling goes away, then relax and move your arms to your sides. Don't cross your legs. In other words, go back to the first step and focus into that feeling of safety. Then, if you can, at that same time, move through the steps to get back to moving around a little bit vigorously, as I mentioned at the beginning of this step. Don't jump around. Don't thrash around. Just move around more. All right? You can fold your leg up so that your foot is flat on the bed, something like that. Make all those moves slowly, nothing quickly. All right? So, anytime the feeling goes away, always go back to the first step and then go through the process again to the step I'm instructing you on at any given moment. Do that as long as you need to, a week or two more, however you need the time, go ahead. If you can get it and it's working for you in less than a week, that's fine, but do it for at least 3 days. All right? Next step. So after that, you're laying on the bed and you've gotten to the point where you can, say, move your arms or legs in a way that's noticeable, all right? Then this is the next big step. All the while maintaining that physical feeling in your body of personal safety. Move very slowly so that you are sitting up on the edge of the bed, all the while maintaining that feeling of personal safety for you. And just sit there for a minute or so, all the while maintaining that feeling. Take all the time you need to gradually sit up so that you maintain that feeling. If the feeling goes away, don't get mad at yourself. Don't give yourself a hard time. This is training and it's not easy. Of course, it will also help you to train how to focus on one thing, which is very helpful and will help you to a great degree to accomplish other spiritual exercises and reminders I will give here and in other places. So, it does more than one thing, eh? We always like to do that. So, that's what you do for that step. You finish up that step by sitting on the edge of the bed. Remember, it is not your job to think about anything. So, if you find yourself thinking, you may notice that that feeling of personal safety that you get in your body has gone away. So that's a tip for those of you who want to focus only on a feeling. Thinking will very often get you right out of your physical body and into thought. So pay attention. This is not about what you think. It is entirely physical. Your physical body is made up of Mother Earth, you understand. And Mother Earth is many times a master. So you're learning how to do things in ways that the material and the matter in your body have already done. So it's not so impossible. Now, next step. So last time you learned how to maintain the feeling of personal safety and slowly sit up on the side of the bed and just sit there. This time you're going to take the next step. You're going to go to that point that you did last time, and then you're going to very slowly stand up. I might add that all the steps you did so far can be done with your eyes closed. You can do it with your eyes open or your eyes closed. It's up to you. I think it's fine to do it with your eyes closed all the way up to the last step. But this time, when you stand up, I recommend that you open your eyes, and whatever you're looking at, try to make sure it's a blank wall with nothing on it, or as little on it as possible. If you've got lots of stuff on that wall all the time, try and put something up on the wall to cover it. A cloth, something like that, in the most neutral shade possible, not a print. Something either white or beige is just as good, that is completely neutral, so that your mind won't gravitate to thought easily. So that's the goal, to get to the point where you can just stand up and stand there, relaxed and comfortable, all the while maintaining the feeling of personal safety. Next step after that. So last time you got to the point where you were standing up, maintaining the feeling of personal safety. This time, we're going to do a little more. You're going to go through that step, to the steps, till you get to the point of standing up. And keep in mind, I want you to go through all the steps, maintaining that feeling of personal safety every time we add a step. That way it builds up strength in the other steps as well, you see, and helps you with your focus. So, this time, instead of ending with standing up, you're going to move around a little bit. It's all right to walk about in the room if you can, whatever room you're in. If you can, do so, all the while maintaining that feeling of personal physical safety. It's perfectly all right to cover other things in the room, perhaps photos or mirrors or whatever, with some neutral fabric, so that you don't stimulate your mind into thought. All right? If you do that, and the feeling of personal physical safety that you have in your body goes away, you know what to do. Go back to the bed, lie down, relax, and begin again. I know it's a long process, but it will make a difference in your life when you perfect this. It may not make you invulnerable, but it can improve your personal safety as an experience, I believe. So, now that's the end of that step. You can walk around a little bit, or if you choose, you can just move a little bit. And for those of you wanting to split that up into two things, you can just move a little bit, and next time you do that, you can walk around the room a little bit. All right? Just a little bit. Always doing this slowly. Next step. So last time you stood up, yes, and you moved around a little bit, and you walked around the room a little bit. But this time, you're going to do that with your eyes open, of course, and walk into the next room. And don't cover anything up in that room. Ideally, there'll be nobody there. Perhaps they've all gone out, or you might have had to give them a little money and send them someplace so they can go out and get ice cream or what have you. So you want it to be quiet. Walk around in the other room a little bit. Walk slowly, all the while maintaining that feeling in your physical body of personal safety. All right? Then, next step after that. So last time you walked around in the other room. From the room you started out in, walked into another room, walked around, maintaining that feeling of personal safety. This time is not too different, only this time, when you walk into the other room, walk a little more vigorously. Don't run, but just step a little more quickly. That's all. All the while, maintaining that physical feeling in your body of personal safety. So, next step. So now you've gone quite a ways. You can even walk around the apartment or your house or wherever you are, maintaining that feeling of personal safety with your eyes open. This time walk around your whole house or your apartment if you can, all the while maintaining that feeling of personal safety. Again, ideally with nobody else there. If you have a dog or a cat, that's fine. They'll know you're doing something spiritual and they probably will not bother you. But if the cat or the dog happens to bump into your leg, or the dog bumps its tail against your leg or something, maintain that feeling of personal safety. Don't get mad at your pet. Recognize that they are helping you to learn with the steps to come. So you know what to do every time. Go back and lay down on the bed and work through the steps, maintaining that physical feeling in your body of personal safety. All right. Next step. If you live in a house that has a backyard, you can add this step. So you've walked around your house, your eyes open. Now you can go out into the backyard, hopefully with nobody there. Walk around, don't touch anything, all the while maintaining that feeling of personal safety in your body. All right, that's that step. Now, those of you who don't have a yard, okay, you can skip that step and go straight on to this next step. And those of you who do have a yard and have done that, this is the next step. So last time, you spread your wings a little bit. Some of you went out into your yard and walked around maintaining that feeling of personal safety. This time, we're going to do more. I'd like you to go outside all the while maintaining that feeling of personal safety. If you live in a big building with lots of people and have to ride in an elevator, say for instance, it's all right to take somebody with you to shield you, all right, so that people don't bump into you or they don't bump into you any more than necessary. If they do bump into you or accidentally touch you in the elevator, stay focused on your feeling of personal safety. All right? If people say hello to you, do not respond. That's another reason to bring somebody with you if you can. And that person can say he or she is doing an exercise to improve the condition of life. And people might say, oh, what's that? And the person can say, we'll explain more about it when it's working well for us. Then we'll be happy to share it. Like that. Something like that. But don't you say it, because you're learning how to do this work. Okay? So that's what I recommend. Now, if you have to and you don't have somebody there to say something, you can put a little note on your shirt or blouse that people can read so they know why you haven't answered them. We don't want your friends or your neighbors to feel you're ignoring them. So do what's polite. Next step. That's all if you're living in a building like that. For those of you who don't live in a building that has an elevator, or where you have to take stairs, for example, then if you take the stairs, you do that same thing. All right? You walk down the stairs all the while maintaining that feeling of personal safety. This is the same for those of you who live in a house and have steps out of the house. In that case, you walk down the steps until you get to the bottom of the steps, even if it's just one step, until you get to the bottom of the steps, and then you just stand there. For those of you in apartments with elevators or have walked down on stairs, you get out the front door and then you stop. You just stand there, out of people's way, of course. And that's the end of that step. There's more. So the next step after that, you've gotten outside your house or your apartment, and you've made it just past the front door, all the while maintaining that feeling of personal safety in your body. Very good. Next step will require the assistance of somebody else. All right? So if you have somebody else that can drive you to a store, I recommend a supermarket or a market, someplace where you're pushing a basket around, all right? So you can kind of stop and lean on it if necessary. It will take that, all right? If you have to take a bus or even a cab, then we're going to interject a step, and that will be taking the bus and taking the cab to that market or that department store, for instance, or any store where people go and are focused on buying things and not going to dance or going to drink or something like that. They're very focused on doing what they're doing so that they will tend to leave you alone to do what you're doing, see? But if you don't have that person to get you there, then you interject the step of taking the bus or taking the cab, all right? So the step for everybody else who has somebody to drive you is driving in that car, all the while maintaining the feeling of personal safety, okay? Or walking if the store is just across the street. But I recommend that even if the store is across the street, you have somebody drive you, because when you're crossing a street, you have to pay attention. And to defeat the purpose, if you're maintaining that feeling of personal safety and don't watch out for your own safety with passing cars or bicycles and so on. So have somebody drive you. Then you can focus on that feeling and they can look out for you, you see? And last step, which is really graduation. So you've done all these steps so far. Now you're at the supermarket or you're at the department store and people are shopping, all right? They're not really paying attention to you. We want that because you're going to go into that store. If it's a supermarket, you're going to get a basket. If it's a department store, you don't have to. But you're going to walk into the store. You don't have to walk in very far. You don't necessarily have to be in a department where there's things that interest you. As a matter of fact, it's even better to be in a portion of the store where things don't particularly interest you. And just walk around that store as much as you can, all the while maintaining that feeling of personal safety. Now, if you can achieve that, That's graduation day. All right? And understand that you can practice on from there. But obviously when you're driving a car or operating machinery or cutting potatoes or whatever you have to do, to pay attention to what you're doing. But you have learned and really mastered the feeling in your body of personal safety. And know that what you're doing by feeling that feeling, all right? Any feeling that you feel, especially when you're focused on it and feeling it with real intention, meaning going into it and feeling it more, that feeling is naturally radiating around you. Don't try to radiate the feeling, meaning don't blow the feeling out. Don't try to expand the feeling. You don't have to do that. Any feeling that you're feeling strongly like that naturally radiates. So that's something to be aware of. So, any of you who make it to that graduation day, congratulations. And use this as well as you can to maintain your feeling of personal safety. It will help. It doesn't act as a substitute to watch out for things in general and to be cautious and so on. But it does help when there are moments when a little extra feeling of safety which exudes around you might just deflect something from you that otherwise could have been hazardous. So use it with caution, experiment a bit, and see where it helps, and all the while maintain your senses in your body so that you're observant and that you can be, to the best of your ability, safe and experience the most benevolent good life.